So even though the stock market did rebound this past Wednesday after Donald Trump paused his tariffs, which, as I've explained, they're not actually paused. All the tariffs are still there. He just reduced them from 25% to 10% on some countries, but the 125% on China, the 25% on automobiles, and the 10% on everybody else are still there. So the tariffs didn't go away. They weren't actually paused. They were just reduced for 90 days. But nevertheless, the stock market, as we all know, rebounded a little bit on Wednesday before not rebounding on Thursday. So yeah, it wasn't super great. The recovery was very short-lived. But even if the recovery had been long-lived before we saw the dips Thursday and Friday, financial analysts and researchers were already telling us this doesn't change the odds of the U.S. hitting a recession by the end of the year. In fact, according to Mark Zandi, the chief economist for Moody's Analytics, he announced after Trump paused the tariffs, like, hey, that's great, it's encouraging, but odds of a recession are still at 60%. So the odds of the U.S. hitting a recession after the so-called pause on tariffs didn't change at all. So let me read you what Zandi said, and then I'm going to explain why the pausing of the tariffs did nothing. Zandi said, quote, "It was encouraging to see the president reverse himself on the so-called reciprocal tariffs yesterday, but I wouldn't take much solace in it as the global trade war continues to rage. I still put the odds of a recession this year at 60%. Fortunately, the president appears sensitive to the turmoil in financial markets and what he hears from investors and business leaders. It is also a plus that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appears to be taking the lead on the trade war. He doesn't seem as dug in on the tariffs as some of the others in the administration. But I wouldn't take much solace in this," he said. The 125% tariffs on China, 10% on most other countries, and 25% on autos, steel, and aluminum put the overall effective tariff rate at more than 20% on a static basis. It hasn't changed. And as it is clear that U.S. trade policy is being made up on the fly, it generates lots of drama and uncertainty, which is another heavy weight on the economy. Not to mention, he mentioned the bond markets are, horrible right now. Treasury bills awful, all of it. But I'm going to expand upon that, and I'm not even a financial analyst from Moody's. The reason the recession odds haven't changed, as he mentioned, part of it is because the tariffs are still there, especially on China, where we get a ton of goods. So everybody hoping to buy that Nintendo Switch 2, it's still not happening. We're screwed on that, which, yes, makes me angry. But the tariffs were only a small part of the economic destruction that Donald Trump has caused. Yes, it may have been probably the worst part of it, but it's not the only part of it. Because there are other economic decisions that Donald Trump has made that may not even seem like economic decisions that are driving down the economy. Mass deportations. We are losing these people, because Trump swears they're all violent, horrible human beings. They're workers who contribute to the U.S. economy. Not only are they keeping businesses afloat, but the money they make, do you know what they do with it? This is a kicker. They spend it. So not only do these businesses that were employing these individuals that have now been deported, not only are those businesses losing money now because they don't have labor, but the labor that is now gone was spending money elsewhere too. So it's not just the farms that lost money or the construction sites. It's everybody else that depended on that income from those people. They have to buy pants and shirts and shoes and food and gas and all kinds of things. And now they're not. That hurts the economy. The mass layoffs with federal government workers. Tens of thousands of people suddenly jobless. Exact same situation. They're not out there buying pants and shoes and shirts. They're not buying, fancy dinners at restaurants or even cheap meals at casual restaurants. They're not spending money because now they don't know if they have a job. And I say they don't know if they have a job because they've been laid off, but the courts say, no, you can't, but the administration's still doing it. So those are huge factors in a looming recession. Inflation, rising prices. Eggs, as we all know, have hit an all-time high in the United States. That is going to cause consumer spending to be reduced. The looming extension of the tax cuts for the wealthy elite. As I've said repeatedly, every single time Republicans cut the taxes on the rich, enact trickle-down economics, we hit a recession every time. So tariffs, no tariffs, doesn't really matter. Because everything Trump is doing is hurting the economy in one way or another. So no, the odds haven't changed just because he temporarily shifted just one of his horrible policies. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.